2026. We have any change? Yeah, we do have one change to the tentative agenda. We'll be removing D. And do we have any other changes, gentlemen?
I have none. I have none.
Okay, that brings us to meet with department heads, elected officials. Brooke Marlin, Veterans Affairs.
Good morning. Over the last couple weeks, we've just stayed very active in the community doing some outreach. We attended the veteran stand down that was at the auditorium as well as the county fair last week. So drumming up some new faces coming in to visit me, whether they're veterans or surviving spouses. It's definitely keeping me busy. So other than that, business as usual.
Good, good. Busy is good. Angie Vaughn, are we safe?
We're safe. Just keeping busy, but not a whole lot to talk about. We are working on mental health and wellness communication skills this month. So it's a big training that's coming up. I look forward to seeing how that goes, how everyone works with that. So other than that, we're all good.
Well, we want you to keep talking, so please continue your passion.
What do you want to talk about, Shane?
All right, Amy. All right. Janelle Nellie Lundquist, Treasurer's Office.
Good morning. Busy. We're just busy.
You guys are always busy, Dale.
Do have a couple of agenda items for you, though.
Okay. Well, thank you, Janelle. Mark, what are you doing here?
Coming to see how you operate.
So you can talk about me later. I got you. I got you. All right. Natalie Steffner, Recorder's Office.
Good morning. Just keeping busy as well. Nothing new to share with the board today.
You guys been recording down there?
We have.
All right. All right. Krista Pocono, Health Department. Talk to us.
Good morning. We're also keeping busy. We're getting geared up for back to school, so our immunization clinics have been busy, and we've also got some additional days we're doing, but nothing new to report.
Okay. When actually when does back to school actually start?
Back to when does school start?
No, you said you're ramping up for your back to school.
So we've got, I'm sorry, on top of my head, I don't remember, but we have 3 dates in August that we're doing additional clinics. So we do Tuesday, 8 to 4:30 or 8 to 4 in our office and walk-in clinic for immunizations. Kids can get all the back to school vaccines that they need. And then we have 3 additional dates, and I'll have to double check those dates.
Okay. It'll be on the website.
It would, yes.
Okay, great. Rodney Gleasner, Maintenance.
Good morning. Lots going on, but really nothing new to report this morning.
Are we maintaining?
We're maintaining.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Brandon Maemer, it.
Just getting busy, nothing really new.
Okay. Keep those fishes away from us. KG, County Sheriff.
Good morning. We are sheriffing. We have.
Hey, nobody does it better than sheriffing.
We have plenty going on as well. Lots happening. Tonight's National Night Out. We'll be at the riverfront from 6 to 8 between the auditorium and the port. Come see us. We'll have a lot of our fun equipment, canines. A lot of the other public safety entities will be down there. So stop down and see us. It'll be a good time. It's an opportunity to interact with the community and build those relationships on a different level than when we're responding to calls. So it's a fun night. We always look forward to it. Last week we had a regional sheriff's meeting. We do those quarterly where we just get together with all the Southeast Iowa sheriffs and just discuss things that are happening. Big talk of that was some legislation and dealing with some of the bond reform and jail populations, what some offices are looking or how they're handling that. Some looking at bonding and expanding, others that are going different routes. Had our task force board meeting yesterday, just discussed operations there and the future of it. All is well there. And then got another thing happening and I'm not recalling it, but that's plenty for now. Actually, the advisory board for the DESCOM will convene next Monday, and we're going to go through the applications that are due this Friday. So applications for the director of DESCOM are due this Friday, and we're going to start going through those on Monday and narrowing that down and start that process.
Okay.
Jail, 94 this morning, 24 out of county. And yeah, we have some movements going on, at least one going to the halfway house and 2 going to prison this week, and we'll see where that all takes us.
Okay.
Juvenile? Any juvenile?
No juveniles right now, no.
Okay, good. Chris Lee, conservation.
We're conservationing. So we're kind of in that transition period right now. Our interns, most of them are their terms are expiring. We've one of them was done last week. We got 2 of them that are done next week, I think, and that's pretty much all of them. So it's that kind of transition period where staff have to do all the things that the interns were doing before. Kind of transitioning from summer camps into already thinking about fall field trips. Nature Center staff and I sat down yesterday. We were talking about programs for all of next year, how to structure those, what new ones we might do. We have a full moon paddle on the calendar for the end of this month. That's going to be up at Fourth Pumping Station Lake. So that'll be a good time. People usually like going out and doing that. It's pretty neat to do. The Burlington City Council yesterday approved an MOU between the Partners for Conservation Foundation and the city that when the Partners for the Foundation gets the Big Muddies building, which they're getting close to finalizing a donation agreement for that, that the city will transfer the lease over because the city owns the land the building sits on. The building is privately owned, so it's kind of weird, but that process is churning behind the scenes, and we are. I just found out about another grant that's available, and we're going to look into possibly pursuing that for maybe getting the Flint River Trail connected. I still got to nail down the corridor, but I got a meeting tomorrow about how to maybe do that, and so hopefully there'll be some good news from that coming up. It'll be months from now, but that's one of the big projects we're going to pick up and try to run with again is getting that trail connection made. It's one of the key components in our strategic plan for the department, and so just trying to get that figured out.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chris. Shannon's not here. Jared Lassiter. Land use.
We've been using land and planning for using land.
Hey. Somebody said morning today. I don't know who it is, but somebody is. My God.
We've been keeping Natalie busy too. Just had a subdivision recorded here, so we've got several more that were approved fairly recently. So we'll see those through to completion here shortly. I don't have anything on the agenda today, and things may be slowing down a little bit here. I'll probably see some more here within the next few weeks, but at the moment, kind of keeping busy. So.
Okay. We appreciate your busyness. County Attorney's Office, Mr. Trent Hinkleby.
Sure. So, we have a jury trial going on again today, so just to keep with theme, the county attorney's office is attorney. So then also National Night Out. One of the things we've changed for our booth this year is that nobody knows where it came from, but we got this Nerf axe throwing setup. So we're gonna have Nerf axe throwing. Check the liability, we're good.
The Attorney's Office gave you okay?
It did.
All right.
We did not check for safety or liability concerns on our t-shirt can.
They've been used since the beginnings of time.
Right? Gotta keep the fun going.
That's right. Okay, who did I miss? Sarah Marie, Auditor.
Good morning. Just keeping busy. Nothing really new to report to you at this time.
Okay. All right, well, that leaves it with Brian Carter.
Good morning. A lot of stuff going on. The guys are up on Pleasant Grove Road going to pour some concrete today. That's one of our concrete blow-ups. One of our many concrete blow-ups we had, so we could do that one ourselves. So appreciate their efforts, and we'll get one half of it poured today and maybe another half of it poured Friday. We'll see what the weather does and let the concrete cure. But I mentioned, it's been a while now, but the ammunition plant has approached us about the possibility of, they feel like they have safety concerns. I guess I question that a little bit because they have, in my opinion, put a lot of effort in that they could have on their own side of it. But I've met with Kevin out there, and We made a proposal on the way they could use their facility quite a bit better. They're not going to do that. So I've sent off a traffic control thing to a kind of a new layout for to a local traffic engineering company and getting an estimate from that, see if the ammunition plant wants to pay for that install. I don't know where that'll go. So eventually, I think starting next week, but it's one of the next couple weeks, the ammunition plant is going to close their gate in Middletown basically through October is my understanding. And because they're going to pave Texas Avenue in the plant. So they're going to move all their traffic to gate 3, which is the truck gate across from the ethanol plant access point. So there is a traffic change coming out there. It was not the first time something like this has happened. It's a 4-lane road. I actually expect traffic will probably flow pretty well once everybody adapts to it. But we are coming up with some solutions. It's just going to kind of depend on what the plant wants to pay for and what they don't want to pay for and that kind of a thing. So time will tell. So you may see a shorter speed limit, advisory speed limit type of situation pop up in that vicinity, just to try to help traffic flow through there a little safer. We'll just see. So just a heads up about that. That's kind of happening in the background on kind of an email string at the moment. Kevin was good enough to find some time in the middle of everything to meet me out there. I think it helped both of us a little bit. So last week. Other than that, pay attention, North Minneapolis. I hope to have a little bit more dialed in for dates for changes and stuff for you, because they have meetings at the same time we have board meetings. So I have a superintendent that attends those. But there are going to be some changes north of Minneapolis. They're going to open 260th at some point before too long, and then they're going to close 240th. And then they're also at some point, they were hoping by the end of August, they're going to switch traffic over to the new 2 lanes so they can start working on the old 2 lanes. So there will be some significant changes north of Minneapolis. I'm assuming most of them happening this month. So just be wary of that up there. It always messes people up when things change in that area. So otherwise, that's Pleasant Grove's still moving along. They got their first layer of rock down finally. They still got some culverts to do. There's still plenty of work for them to do. I wouldn't say it's moving quite at the pace we had hoped, but it is moving. So anyway, that's a lot of other stuff going on, but that covers the majority of it.
Okay, sounds good. Before we go into discussion and vote, I would just like to recognize the distinguished gentleman in the corner, Mark Lundeen. He is the Des Moines County Supervisor of Henry County. Wave your hand, Mark. Thank you for joining us. I also would like to recognize the Republican and Des Moines and Democrat candidates that are here today. Bob Bartles in the back and Brian T. We thank you for joining us today. All right, let's move on to discussion and vote. First, I have payroll reimbursement claims in the amount of $363.65 and $36.88 and cash non-taxable. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Moved in second. Sarah Marie.
Tom Rowe,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. Okay. And next we have 5B, accounts payable claims in the amount of $654,167.70 in checks, $336,604.13 in wire transfer payments, and a grand total of $990,771.83 total.
Approve.
Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. 5C is a fireworks permit for 34 raceways for the 1st of August 2026. Is J&M Displays, Yarmouth. Kevin Glendale.
No concerns.
Motion to approve.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie.
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Shane McCampbell.
Next, we have 5B, an extension of closing deadline for 1804 Douglas Avenue property, Stevie franchise.
A little bit of a delay with the new abstracts being completed. We're looking at a closing date of August 20th for both of those properties.
Does this require a vote?
I'm sorry.
Does this require a vote?
Yeah,
Transmitted to be on the agenda.
yeah, I'd like to have it on the agenda and just have a vote, just because I don't, it doesn't need a resolution, that's what I said.
Yep.
We don't need a resolution to extend the closing date. I would like to have a vote to extend the closing date, especially, I mean, we've got a new complaint yesterday again, over whether or not we use the right title in the agenda on these things. So we definitely want to make sure we're double tapping everything along the way, so I would prefer a vote, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Motion to approve the extension of a closing deadline for 1804 Douglas Avenue property. I'll second that.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie.
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Aye. And F is similar. It's an extension of closing deadline for TBD Douglas Avenue property for 3 lots. Stevie, you want to add anything to that?
No, just the delay on getting the abstract built, so and it's got to go to their attorneys, do a title opinion. We'll be set to close 20th of August.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve that extension as well. Second.
Sarah Marie.
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Shane McCampbell.
Yeah. Okay. And next we have request for suspension, delay of property taxes per Iowa Code 4279, and this is on regarding parcels 215-25-302-003.
Would be partial, that's Department of Human Services.
Okay. And it's already been DHS approved for both of these, so can I get a motion to approve them?
Motion to the property taxes are not being waived. They're being postponed. Upon transfer of the real estate, these taxes will be due, or whoever the entity that owns them, they would pay them, they would become due. So motion to approve the suspension. Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie.
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. And 5H is similar. There's a request for suspension, delay of property taxes for Iowa Code 42.9. And again, this one has been DHS approved as well. I already broke it down. The taxes will be paid eventually.
Motion to approve that request as well.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie.
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. Next we have I, which is a National Night Out Proclamation. Whereas the National Association of Town Watch, NATW, sponsors a national community building campaign on Tuesday, August 4th, 2026, entitled National Night Out. And whereas the National Night Out campaign provides an opportunity for neighbors in Des Moines County and the greater Burlington area to join over 38 million neighbors across 16,000 communities from all 50 states, U.S. territories, and military bases worldwide. And whereas National Night Out is an annual community building campaign that promotes strong police community partnerships and neighborhood camaraderie to make our neighborhoods safer, more caring places to live and work. And whereas neighbors in the greater Burlington area assist local law enforcement agencies through joint community building efforts and support National Night Out 2026. And whereas it is essential that all neighbors of Des Moines County and the greater Burlington area come together with law enforcement and work together to build a safer, more caring community. And now therefore, the Board of Supervisors of Des Moines County, Iowa, do hereby call upon all citizens of Des Moines County to join the Des Moines County Attorney's Office and the Burlington Police Department and the National Association Town Watch in support of National Night Out on Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. Further, let it be resolved that we, the Board of Supervisors of Des Moines County, Iowa, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, August 4th, 2026 as National Night Out in the County of Des Moines, Iowa. Signed and sealed this 4th day of August 2026.
Move to approve. Second.
Sarah Marie.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
I know it's at that. Yeah, because it's more than just the Burlington Police.
You know,
Right?
That, they should have had the sheriff's department in there too.
It's just chosen wording. We can't always help that, but that's okay.
It's just chosen word.
No, it might be chosen words, but still.
We'll be there. It's okay.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right. Now we have personnel actions. We have two for the deputies department. We'll do those two together. And then I have just one for IT department. The first one is for Xander Schweitz. He's a deputy. He's got 74.77 hours. It's his anniversary. He's getting his 5-year increase. He's going from the previous rate of $72,942.88. His new rate of pay is $77,572.93 effective 7/28/26. And then the second one is John Gates, Deputy School Resource Officer. He's got 80 hours and it's his anniversary. Previous rate of pay, he's got his 5-year increase. Previous rate of pay was $72,942.88. His new rate of pay is $77,572.93 effective August 23rd. Can I get a motion on both?
Move to approve both of them. Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep.
You gonna have any of the dogs down there?
Yeah, Tank will be down there.
Tanks will be there?
Sign autographs.
Yeah.
See it doing a paw print.
He steals the show.
The kids enjoy him.
But, oh yeah, they do. Great dog, great with the community. He does really well. Knows when it's time to work, but he knows when it's time to hang out with the kids too.
And not all of them do that, so we give him a lot of credit.
Man, you give Tank a salami sandwich, man, this dog will do anything. But anyway, next we have IT department, Josh Showman. He's assistant administrator. He's got 4.5 hours paid unleave, effective 7/31/26. Signed out by Brandon. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Sarah Marie.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. Next, I have reports from the Veterans Affairs monthly report, auditor's report of fees collected, Dewey Buyer Trust from 4/1/2026 to 6/30/2026, and these will be on file in the auditor's office for you to view at your leisure. Thank you, sir. And last but not least, we have minutes for the regular meeting on July 28th, 2026. Can I get a motion to approve minutes?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Sierra Marie.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Future agenda items,
I have none.
committee reports.
I have none.
This brings us to public input. If you would like to email us, you can email us at boardboard@dmcounty.com. Again, that's boardboard@dmcounty.com, or you can call at 319-753-8282. That number again is 319-753-8282. While we're waiting, is there anybody from the audience that has anything to say?
I did find out there's additional dates for those clinics, so it's August 17th and 21st for 7th and 12th graders from 10 to 3, and August 20th from 10 to 3 for pre-K.
What were the times on that?
10 to 3 on 17th and the 21st for 7th and 12th graders, and pre-K on August 20th, 10 to 3.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anything from the girls? You'll wait. Okay. Nobody else from the audience? Rodney?
I'll share since Shannon's not here. I think we are planning on taking down that new solar generator the emergency management got down to the National Night Out tonight. So people can go down there and check that out tonight as well.
Are you guys gonna hook it up to anything or just take it down there back?
I'm not sure what the plans are. We're just gonna get it back. So.
All right.
That
was a good deal. How long did we just get that? Was it, we had it for 2 weeks now? Or 3 weeks?
About 3 weeks or so. Had it a couple times down at the farmers market downtown.
That was a good deal.
People's been able to check it out down there. I'm also gonna have it at the Touch a Truck event. I believe that's coming up in a few weeks. August 20 something. It's on a Saturday. 29. So it'll be out there at that event as well.
Nobody else? Natalie Steffner, you didn't get a chance to speak. Do you want to say anything? Go ahead, Natalie. Get it off your chest. Just go ahead and say it. It's like you're holding something
I spent a few
in.
days at the county fair last week, so.
Did you eat a corn dog?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
No. Lots of other stuff, but no corn dog.
All right. Well,
Lemonade shake-ups.
Absolutely.
What do you say, Brian?
That's part of life.
The lemonade shake-ups were good.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, lemonade shake-ups are always good.
No, they're not.
Hey, you heard it first. Right here in the Moines County, you heard it first. He just spoke it. He just spoke
Them out there
it.
was excellent out there this year.
Not all of them are, not all are created equal. All right. Somebody said, my mom makes some good country gravy. I said, everybody's country gravy is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? Not all of them taste the same. All righty.
Well, sometimes those 4-H'ers may forget to put the sugar in there. You know, some water and lemon.
Yeah, no good, no good. Make you squeeze something in your neck. Anyway, I think it was about 2 minutes. Everybody satisfied? Lindeen, you're satisfied?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, as long as you're satisfied, heck, that's all it's about. Satisfying Henry County. All right. So, no, man, it is good to see you today.
Thank you.
With a night, we're adjourned.
Aye.
Okay, we've got 2 work sessions following, one regarding the Jake break usage and then regarding data center presentation. So we're going to take a quick commercial.
We should be able to do that first one, break, should we try to take that?
Oh, that's going to take 5 minutes.
I don't think so.
We're going to knock it out and then take a break? Yeah. That's fine with me.
I have to drive this and go to the airport later, so.
Okay.
That's the deadline.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get to.
We're going to go right into the Jake break usage. And then, I don't know if that gentleman that brought it up.
He's in back there.
Mr. Matson.
Okay, okay. Yeah, Kevin, do you want to open up with that, or you got any information to share?
I certainly can. I have a couple model ordinances from some other counties around the state of Iowa. Clinton County, Potawatomi County, they both have ordinances. certainly something we can look at. I think most importantly, what I'm wondering is if the communication we've had, the voluntary compliance has been successful, if that issue has continued. We haven't had any additional that I'm aware of, but just wondering how that's going down there, and if the trucking company and Alliant have helped us out.
As of today, it's been really good. But like you said the last meeting, it'll start getting lax in the future, so we probably should do something. You didn't say we should probably do something, I'm saying that. You said it'll get more likely it'll start getting lax in the future. Like I told you guys I think I did. I had a guy come down the hill one morning at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, so I think it'd be a good deal.
It's certainly a place that's on a steep decline. It's the residences are about 50 feet off the roadway there. It's an engine braking would definitely be a disturbance. I'm glad to hear there's voluntary compliance. I mean, that's always the goal. Even with an ordinance and signage, you still have to gain compliance somehow, and usually we can achieve that through just having those conversations. So I personally am not against a selective ordinance for this specific location. We don't have a high volume or really any notable engine braking complaints even over the last several months. Maybe a few years back we had some, but this is the first one in recent memory.
I spoke with Burlington because they've got their sign as you're heading down 34 heading east, getting ready to go into Illinois. They've got their sign up, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, can you send me a copy of your ordinance so I can take a look at it?" And he had a pretty busy week, so he's like, "I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it to you before Tuesday." But it's not like it's unheard of that we don't have something like that local in town already. But I told him, I said, "Man, just send me a copy of yours so I can just kind of go through it and see what you guys got." But that was my thought on that, and I know I can get that before the week out.
Yeah, the ordinances are pretty simple. It just defines engine braking and compression braking as Jake braking, where it can occur. Some of them are at, I think it was Clinton County's was at paved road intersections. I think Pottawatomie County's was throughout the unincorporated area of Pottawatomie County. You can put it at specific locations or throughout the county. There's a wide variety of those types of ordinances. But then it's just a simple misdemeanor with the established fine of a simple misdemeanor.
What do you think, Tom?
But you go right out to the county engineer, and I agree with Kevin. If we were gonna do something, I wanna see it limited to that particular location. It's the perfect location for that. I can see that happening, but Ryan he's always got some insight, so.
Well, I think the example of 4:30 in the morning, unfortunately, if that driver's not gonna comply, it's probably gonna happen either way, because it takes enforcement. But I agree with Kevin, the voluntary enforcement's actually about 1,000 times more valuable than the ordinance. The ordinance gives Kevin's guys a chance to enforce it, but it doesn't make people not do it when they jump on the CB and they give everybody else a heads up that there's nobody sitting there checking, enforcing. So I think the win is the voluntary. If we want to pass an ordinance for the Jake break, I think that's fine. I prefer it to be isolated. I don't love broad countywide policy if you don't have to do broad countywide policy, because we don't have a problem everywhere. There's a reason they use them, and there's probably places where it doesn't bother anybody.
Would we need an ordinance to put up a sign?
To make it enforceable, you have to have an ordinance for him to be able to enforce it. Can you put up a sign? Yeah, you can.
I'm just saying, I mean, that, you said how people wanted to comply, or people, complying on their own. And I think that sign would just be a way to help them, or be a reminder that, hey, we're established in this area as a no Jake break, help.
I wouldn't recommend a sign unless you're gonna pass an ordinance.
Yeah.
That, to me, they go hand in hand. In my opinion. I mean, but that's up to the board. If the board wants me to put up a sign, I'll put up a sign. That's no problem at all. I do believe, after visiting it, I believe that whether or not we end up doing a speed limit, the speed limit will not resolve the problem. The hill's too steep. Unless you're gonna do an ordinance and and allow it to be enforced. I don't think the speed limit changes the factors there. Just when you're talking about trucks. I will also mention, I don't know what they're doing long term with this site, but this is a site where there's bursts of construction and then there's nothing. And then there's, it's been all the way back. It was a coal-fired plant and it's changed purposes and uses and everything else. And then all of a sudden somebody repurposes, and then there's, you know better than I do, but 3 months, 6 months of a ton of construction, then all of a sudden it scales back.
Actually, we're talking about the last 3 or 4 years of construction.
On and on, yes.
They moved 500,000 yards of dirt, and now they're like this last week, there's probably been a cement, and they're not using the Jake brake. I'm not saying that, but I'm just talking about the traffic. There's probably been a cement truck goes down the hill every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm guessing
right
that,
now.
If I understand correctly, the contractor that's there is gonna be there extended though for.
They got a lot of work ahead of them. It looks like, I didn't go over and talk to anybody. I stay out of that.
That's the two ordinances.
I would say if the board's interested, it sounds like the board's open and willing to do a Jake brake ordinance. I'd write a generic ordinance that calls out this location, and then if you ever want to expand it for some reason, you're not having to. To me, the location can probably be by resolution, and the ordinance will be the overall governing. We've done some other stuff like that before. But either way, I wouldn't put up a sign unless you're willing to do the ordinance.
Or we could do countywide where posted, and then if in the future we need to put signs up somewhere else, then it's posted.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I think it'd just be cleaner.
I like that.
So I'm not a big one for random stuff. I mean, whether you pick new sites or the board someday picks new sites, I'm not just gonna go slap up a Jake brake sign somewhere for the fun of it. So I would come to the board and say, I'm gonna look for board direction on something specialized like this anyway in the future. So you can do it this way, but I'm still gonna probably come to the board and have it as an interaction with the board of supervisors. I'm not just gonna go, speed limits require board action. There's other stuff that require board action. I think this can go either way, but to me, this is a board concept. So however you guys want to write the ordinance, I don't really care. I'm just going to tell you whether you write it so it's flexible. We're not just going to go start slapping up signs for Jake brake ordinances randomly. So it's still going to land in the board's lap as far as conversation, if not decision, in the future.
Wouldn't if you were gonna amend that ordinance, you wouldn't amend it, you could just say the Des Moines County ordinance affecting this particular area, then you could add another location by resolution at a later date. Is that what you're saying, Trent?
We could, and if we want to do it by location, then we get into, we need a description of each location. Where if we say where posted, then we can just define where posting is, and even if you want a procedure on how that decision is made to post, and then that way we're not putting a description of, so what's the name of the road we're talking about again? Sullivan Slough Road, and then is it the whole road, or how do we, if it's a highway, there's mile markers or something, it's a little bit easier.
It's not hard to have a description.
Okay.
It's not. It'd be no different than a speed limit description. I'd come up with a linear dimension, because we have all those documented so that when a sign gets taken out or something like that, we can go back to it and make sure it gets put up properly too. So the description is not a problem for us.
Okay.
We'll be able to handle that. It's really up to you guys, Trent, Sheriff, how you want to handle the overall thing.
Kenny Manson?
My thought is, if you make it countywide, we'll never have to bring this up again in front of the board. It's a done deal. And if you make it countywide, the deputy's got something to work with. Otherwise, just like you said, it's compliance no big deal.
Because they're not gonna be parked out looking for that, it's gonna be complaint driven,
And it will be,
It's gonna be
my
people in
place.
neighborhoods, that.
But we don't wanna, I'm assuming you don't wanna listen to this stuff again, so.
The
You
flip
know.
side of that is if we make it countywide, there are areas that I think engine braking can be justified, and we don't want to encourage calling when it's unnecessary.
Well, how do these other counties, and I've seen signs just everywhere,
Sure.
well, how do they all get by with that then?
They can do that.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
I guess
It will be done, this will be a done deal, when I walk out of here today, it's adios.
for Des Moines County, I personally would prefer it be site specific.
I
That would
agree.
be my preference, so that we can look at the locations, and I think your location is very justified, but I think there's others that we could receive complaints on for engine braking that probably wouldn't be justified to not allow it.
Yeah, I think the ordinance can be broad and then call out locations. I would agree with that. I would think it'd be better to be, this is the first, I've been here 20, I don't know how many years. I don't remember anybody coming and complaining about Jake breaks in that entire time period. The entire time. So I agree with Kevin, this is a spot where it's at the bottom of a steep hill. It's, like you said, very active. You're not gonna change, it's gonna be very active. Nothing wrong with it. I think it fits it very well. So,
Why trying to come up with an ordinance like that countywide that just affects mentioned location, specific locations, and they can add more locations if they need to by resolution.
Sure.
That works for me.
Works for me. Okay. Kenny, you satisfied?
I didn't hear you, my hearing's bad.
we're gonna go ahead and put one on your hill. They're gonna work on an ordinance.
Okay, good, thank you.
It will take some time because ordinances require readings and creation and all that. So just so you know, you won't see the signs for a little while.
Won't be there tomorrow morning?
No.
No.
Darn.
But don't hesitate to call us, and we can have some more conversations with the contractor and the line, if it pops up again.
Yeah, cause I'm not gonna go down there.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that work for you, Trent?
It does.
Okay, you'll get us something, okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, we're satisfied with that. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. We're gonna come back with, AUR regarding data center presentation. Before we go right now. Yes, if you could introduce yourself and your company and go ahead and get started.
Absolutely. So my name is Charlie. I work for RM Capital Ventures or the Mining Store. We're known as both entities. Excuse me. What I do for them is I'm a land agent and I find power as well. So in this particular location, I had Eastern Iowa Light and Power. I reached out to them and said, "Do you guys have power that is not being used? Do you have capacity that's not being used?" And they said, "Yes, we do." And it is next to Big River Resources. It's a 5 megawatt site. We're not able to sell it to anybody because there's no demand for it right now. So I then contacted the landowner that owned land adjacent to Big River Resources and said, "Hey, I would like to buy this property from you." I don't think the property is very desirable to him as far as farming ground is also. I think it was a parcel that he had to go out of his way to actually farm. So he was willing to give that up. So we purchased it. We came through and filled out an application here to exist. And apparently we checked all the boxes that we needed to check to be able to build. And then along came the county that said, "By the way, we're putting a moratorium on any type of data center." So that's kind of what has brought me here. Not kind of, that is exactly what's brought me here. Is we're operating a Bitcoin mining center. It's currently at about 4.25 megawatts in this location. The location is 10448 150th Avenue, West Burlington, Iowa. I will actually, after this, go to that site for about 45 minutes if anybody wants to roll through the site and look at anything. Have it explained to them. Several people from the county have come and looked at the site, looked at the operations. We had EMS management, 2 different EMS people, a couple of different fire department people there, some membership from this office as well. They kind of come through and just see what we do. And lots of people are worried about fire, and just because we use lots of electricity. If you actually see the setup, you'll know that there's nothing that can burn. Everything inside this box is mainly metal. So there's not going to be a runaway fire. There's nothing crazy like that can actually happen within these containers. The containers are not currently using any water at all. They're not hooked up to city water. They're not hooked up to well water. They are using what's called a dry cooler. And all that is just a giant radiator, just like your car has, just like a semi-truck has. It's a giant radiator that sucks air through the fins of it. Inside the radiator, there's coolant just like inside your car. That coolant is sent up into the radiator where it is cooled off by air and then dropped back down into the system where it cools off the chips, and then it just makes the round trip and it keeps going. So
this is basically the air conditioner model, right?
Basically, it's not, there's no air conditioner to it, there's no compressor to it. There is different types of cooling which I can get into, but this is basically radiator cooling. That's all there's to it. There's nothing special about it. There's no extra water being used on the dry coolers we have currently.
How much water is it going to take for?
If we need to turn water on, there's 3 different machines here. 2 are alike and 1 is different. One will never see a drop of water unless it's the water that we're putting into the coolant loop as when it first starts. The others can use water. They currently use coolant, but they only use water when it gets to be above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So at 100 degrees Fahrenheit, if it stayed like that for a long period of time, you're looking at 350 gallons per year. Not per hour, not per minute, per year. And that is the maximum.
How many would it be per?
Let him finish.
And you said 350
gallons per year. That is the high side. They're rated between 225 to 350 gallons per year.
Go to the equipment that's currently on site.
If we would need to use water with it,
if you need,
yes, if we would need to turn it on, that's what it would use. Because we're currently right now, we have the 2 machines that have the capability of using water. They're both sitting right next to one another. And like I said, anybody wants to come and see it, you can see the inlet and the outlet ports of the machines, and they have nothing hooked up to them. You can open up the reserve water that's there. You can see the pump. The pump is the size of a little bit over a 16-inch softball maybe. So we're not moving. We're not capable of moving high amounts of water. It's just a spray mist that comes in. They call it a water misting wall, and that helps cool the system off. But like I said, we're into August now, and we haven't used a drop of water since they've been operating since September of last year. And like I said, the other machine won't use any water at all, ever. The only time we've used water is because we had to mop floors. So I wanted to talk to somebody about power and how when we come into communities, people are worried that we're going to use all their power up and we're going to increase the cost of their power. When we go into communities, I go into them looking for existing power and existing generation. So it's already sitting there, it's not being used whatsoever. So when I come in, I'm not plopping down in the middle of nowhere and saying, okay, Eastern Iowa Light and Power, give me energy. You guys build out all the infrastructure. You guys come in and build a substation right next to me and supply me with power. I go to where that infrastructure already exists and I set up shop. So that's why this is currently at 5 megawatts, because that was what's available. And I came in and sat down. I paid for small upgrades to the transformer for us to be able to use it. We drug 3-phase wire, bored it underground over to our units, and we paid for every penny of that. So when I come into a community and there's power that's available that's already generated but nobody's using it, I'm adding to the bottom line of that utility. So some of our facilities proposed, so this facility right now that we have is using 43 million kilowatt hours a year. So 43,800,000. So the average cost of power for us is about 6 cents per kilowatt hour, which means Eastern Iowa Light and Power is selling us, times 0.06, is selling us $2,628,000 worth of electricity per year. That is money that is not captured because nobody's using it unless somebody like me comes along and uses it. This is without changing any infrastructure. This is without changing any wiring at all. I'm now adding $2.6 million to the bottom line of this company or this utility. So you can tell that, and they now have an operating capital of $2.6 million in excess of what they had. Well, they're going to take that, turn around and update their infrastructure. So that's going to benefit everybody in the community, being able to add $2.6 million into updating infrastructure that's starting to get old or starting to need to be replaced. We are hoping to expand, and on our dime, to expand this particular location out to a 25 megawatt site. So if we were to get to a 25 megawatt site, that's 219 million kilowatt hours per year. That means we're adding to the community's bottom line by $13 million every year. So that is why when we come into communities that are nervous, they don't quite understand that the power already exists, the generation already exists, and I'm paying for all the infrastructure. We're not going to increase your bills. In fact, in Grundy Center, Iowa, we reduced the cost of electricity by 19% when we set up shop up there.
And I'm a slow writer. So 219 million kilowatt hours a year. What's that? What was that?
That pencils out to roughly about $13 million to the bottom line.
Okay, thank you.
And that's at the bigger size. What was that?
That was at a 25 megawatt size. So Iowa is capable of producing 70.5 million watt hours per year. And Iowa currently, the retail is only using about 55 million watt hours per year. So there's a lot of capacity that Iowa still has that we can use that exists. It's just in transmission where I can't pull it off of a large 369 kV line. I have to build a substation, which costs several $1 million to build that substation. I have to step the power down for myself to be able to use it. So it's in transmission, it's there, it exists. So if I come, or if another company comes into Iowa and sets up shop to make more data centers or AI data centers or more cryptocurrency, there's already generation available to us. So we're not coming in and messing with supply and demand.
Okay. Now, maybe I thought initially that you guys were going to add water and have it up so that you could have dry, or however you call it, and or it's being pulled by water?
So that's all going to depend on end user. We are data center developers and we are data center operators as well. We operate some of our own systems and we operate systems that other people own. So we'll develop a center out and then we will go out and market and say we have so many slots for server racks open. How many would you like to have? And so within one facility, we may have 6 different customers. We may have 80 different customers within one different facility because the servers, we can stack them in there. If you look at, say, a university that wants to have their hospital diagnose cancer better, they can purchase a couple of units and stick it in the rack and pay 6 cents for power here in Iowa, or shove them in their hospital and pay 75 cents a kilowatt hour, 6 cents per kilowatt hour here, or pay 75 cents a kilowatt hour in California. And what they choose to do is come to the Midwest where the power is a little cheaper and more available and use the power that we're actually operating. So we would like to expand it to 25 megawatts. So the end user at that point would come out and say, okay, this is the style that we would like to use. And what we're asking coming in front of everybody here is we want the utilities to dictate what we do. And there's some tariffs, there's some rules that the utilities have that protects everybody here in this room and the entire community. Up to slowing the flow down of water and as far as shutting us off completely if we're abusing the system. So the water company is what we'd like to help shape some of the language and zoning, and the power company is what we'd like to help shape some of the language and zoning as well. And we'll be compliant to both of those. So you'll know that your community is always going to have power, that we're not going to cause brownouts, and you know that your community is always going to have water, and there's not going to be a water shortage issue. So we want the utilities to dictate that language is what we're asking for.
I don't want to step on your presentation.
No.
And I've got a couple questions, but if you've got anything else that you would like to go through.
No, those are the main things that people are worried about is power and water. And so those are the things I'm touching on right now is power and water. And some people are worried about noise. Once again, like I said, I'll stay over at the other place for, a half hour, 40 minutes or something like that. If somebody wants to come through and see that it is general manufacturing noise. It is not the 1.7 gigawatt XAI Grok center that, you can hear infrasound for 3 miles and it affects people's sleep and things like that. We're less than 1% of what those facilities are. We're not loud because we're not huge. But go ahead.
In a previous work session, Mr. Barrick was gracious enough to talk to us, and he said that I think he said that you got like $3.5–4 million invested in what you've got out there now, but it would be $50 million to make it to 25 megawatt. He said that did not include, the way I understood it, any computers.
Yep. So we are kind of adjusting that number here and there because of the cost of goods, cost of materials are coming up. So with that facility being at a 25 megawatt site, you'd be looking at $325 million.
So with a 25 megawatt site?
Correct. That would be the CapEx without computers.
That's without computers.
Correct.
Now, I'm assuming part of that is improving the capacity of that substation.
Correct.
How much of that is construction costs? Just brick and mortar building?
As far as utility is concerned, you're probably looking at 15 to 25 million. The rest is construction.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you were gonna increase the generating capacity of that eastern Iowa REC, that work that you would be involved in wouldn't be lines and power poles, stuff like that, or underground. It would be just stuff going over the fence.
No.
To you?
No.
Is that right?
No, we would have to upgrade circuits and upgrade transmission lines. And the last I spoke to East Iowa is back in July when I think we kind of did an informal ribbon cutting over there. And I had asked if we could get above 5 megawatts because we had available land, and they had told me that it's not available through the size of the transmission lines. So we'll have to upgrade the transmission lines. We'll have to upgrade switches and then put in a larger transformer. And we'll probably take the transformer that you have now and put it somewhere else, or purchase it and then take it to another jurisdiction. You had a question.
Yeah, I'm still thinking right now.
I guess, I have a question. So the current build out, you're saying that you have within your, and maybe this is the difference between Bitcoin mining and data centers. I don't know, that's what I'm asking. So your current, do you have capacity that's unused in your current setup?
No.
No, so
No,
you're,
I have to get there. I have to expand it. So typically what we do is we find a spot that has power, and we set up shop, and we usually stay there for somewhere around a calendar year. We get to know the utility, the city gets to know us, the water company kind of gets to know us. And this particular location, we've been dealing with Eastern Iowa for several years now, and so they know how we work and we know how they work. So there was 5 megawatts of capacity already available here without changing anything. And now that we're coming up on somewhat of a calendar year of being in a community, that's when we're starting to look at expanding and paying for the transmission lines to bring more power to this location.
so, okay, that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying, you're talking about your data center has essentially slots that you rent out for people to put computers in, is that correct?
Correct.
Is that full up, or does that have vacancy, so to speak?
I will give you 2 sides of that answer. With Bitcoin mining has the Bitcoin's come down. It was at $120,000 per Bitcoin. Now we're looking at found the floor of about $63,000 or $65,000. Some of the machines that we have that are 3 or 4 years old are not worth running. They use too much power and they don't produce enough Bitcoin at $65,000 or $63,000 per Bitcoin. So the machines are literally running in the red. So we're taking those machines out, and people aren't replacing them because they're scared of the future in Bitcoin and things like that. The other side of that is, since we're a slot marketer, so to speak, we have our marketing guys that go out and do events and talk to people, and people are absolutely trying to kick our door in to get to go to the data center profile. So we have 3 different facilities right now that we have operated for several years, that all the machines in them are getting to where they're too old to work. They're starting to run through the red.
In other jurisdictions?
Correct, in other places around Iowa. So they're starting to run through the red. So we're going to unhook them and either e-waste cycle them, or we'll sell them to a third world country, and where power is even cheaper than it is here in Iowa, and they'll operate them as Bitcoin miners in that particular country. So there's a couple of different ways that we handle the waste. It's either recycled through e-waste, or it's sold to somebody else who actually takes those machines and continues to use them further on down the line. So are they currently under contract? No, because they don't exist. But as soon as they exist, it's like the field of dreams. They're coming. It's the amount of rack space that's needed is ridiculous. We need 3.5 times what we have currently in existence.
So, go ahead, Trent.
No, let's go ahead.
So, when you get to that 25 megawatt is what you want to try to do. Now, is that just for one business, or is that for multiple businesses?
Could be for one business, could be for multiple businesses.
Okay, well, how do you know these multiple businesses are going to be down for, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's going to be different uses that you can do within this development, correct?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, well, because what I was reading is that most companies want to go with water to cool their systems because it's cheaper.
Sure.
Instead of going with the contained.
Correct.
So I mean, within this 25 megawatt setup that you want to put up, it's going to be, you said you have some contained cooling, but you know, there's a possibility that there can be water cooling as well.
Correct. Right now, there is only, I believe, a 2-inch main that is running along the property. There's a 4-inch that's close. And if we need to upgrade, we will pay for an upgrade to go to a 10-inch main in that area. So
and where's this water going to come from, and then what's going to happen with the wastewater?
There isn't any wastewater. It's all evaporative. So we're not putting descalers in there. We're not putting anything like that and then dumping it into the sewer. When we're done with it, it evaporates into the air.
the
So you don't
blowdown.
have to, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I'm just trying to get my hands around this.
No,
This
you're
is all
good.
new to me.
You're not bothered.
So you don't have to flush it and clean it out at all?
We flush it and clean it out, but mainly it's just calcium and lime that's in the bottom of it, what's called a blowdown.
And what happened, I'm just saying, what happens with the calcium and lime?
Well, it came out of the ground and we just throw it in the trash. They just came out of drinking water, and it's the stuff that you guys drink every day of the week, just like I do. When I go turn my tap on, I get calcium and lime that come out of the tap, no matter how well they've cleaned it, unless I have a water softener, which is what we have on one of our setups that we currently use right now is 2 commercial water softeners. We cleaned it after running for a little over a year. We used a power washer, Simple Green, which is a biodegradable detergent, and we used some CLR on some of the spots that were a little harder. So we don't inject it with chemicals. The BS that you read on Facebook, as far as our facilities are concerned, is exactly that. It's BS. Are there bad actors out there when it first came around? Absolutely.
Okay, I've got one more. You said that, that when you guys first got in, that you built some and that you found out that they couldn't keep up, that they were no good. So how do you know that these new ones are good?
You mean, that must have been something that JP said. I don't understand what you mean.
You said that there were machines or whatever that you had, after 3 years, that they couldn't keep up or whatever, or that you were in the red.
So the machines operate at, say, 3 kilowatts per machine. And then power is slowly doing this, and the machine's speed is slowly doing this. And
No, I got you on that, I'm saying, but you replaced them now, so where's your confidence in knowing that these aren't gonna be a problem down the road either?
Because in the Bitcoin mining world and in the data center world, they're 2 different models. In Bitcoin mining, you pay for the machines, and in the data center world, you lease the machines. So if the machines are no good, you just send them back and say, these are your problem, you give us new machines that work. And they do have degradation just like any other piece of electronic equipment. They will have to be traded out about every 3 years and sent back to the factory for refurbishment, and then they ship us new ones. So it's not that they aren't any good, it's just that they degrade over a period of time, and then the cost of power goes up over a period of time. So if I'm having a machine that is working for me that's making money, and all of a sudden that machine is using more power and collecting less money, then that machine's no good to me. It's running in the red. But when it comes to the data centers, there's a lot more tolerance in the cost of power. So I can put a rack in there and keep it in there for 3 years as long as the machine's not defective. And many of them are, because most of them are made in China. So we do have some that are just sitting that we need to send back and to the manufacturer and get fixed. But it's...
Is China the only one that's producing these?
No, you can get them stateside. In fact, the Department of Defense says that you have to have them stateside. There cannot be anything Chinese in them. And a couple other countries, I think, that they can pull manufacturing from. But if you're going to do any type of government contract, like even for your building, if we're going to do any type of government contract for servers, we have to have them sourced, and nothing will come from China. Nothing can come from China.
So if you were gonna have a 25 megawatt data center, what you've got there now would be removed?
No.
That would be part of, so you'd be adding 20 megawatts to the 5 megawatts you already have?
Correct.
Essentially?
Correct.
Okay. And the building that houses those 20 megawatts is $300 million.
About $300 million for everything, with construction, with on-grade pads, electrical, yeah.
And that's more, but most of that money's the equipment though. How much are you expecting on, just for the shell of the building? What's that?
Everything that I'm talking about, we're looking about $300 million to build, is the building, it is the concrete, it is the electrical work, it is the permitting, it's everything that goes into it. The 25 million or so that goes to the substation is also included in that, but that's electrical work and transmission lines and things like that.
I do encourage those of you that are interested to go tour it. It does help explain things a little bit more, to actually see the visual and see what it looks like. I still don't understand it by any means, but it does help you see things and understand a little bit more.
You said you're gonna be out there for half an hour after this?
As long as people are there, I'll be there. It's fine. I've got no problem showing people what we do.
Your 25 megawatts, is it gonna stay on that property that you're on right now?
Yep, correct. And I believe
And I'm just trying to go back and think, I think what we're doing is putting another 25 on top of the 5 we have there. So I think the total facility size will be 30 megawatts for the entire 7 acres that's there.
Eastern Iowa, you know, you can count Eastern Iowa, REC, whatever. How does their power usage affect other energy providers?
I don't understand the question.
Alliant, you know, other energy providers in Iowa.
So there's generation and transmission companies, there's transmission companies, and there's distribution companies. So generation is people who participate in this is going to go over like a lead balloon. They participate in the MISO power market. It's a Midwest Intercontinental System Operator, and they'll own coal fire, natural gas fire, nuclear generation all throughout the United States within the Midwest area. And so that power is produced, and then they look for somebody to transmit it. So ITC in Iowa transmits on their large lines power to people who are distributors. And so Eastern Iowa Light and Power doesn't produce any of their own, but they distribute power. So what happens is somebody produces power over here, and to the MISO market, they put the power into the MISO market. Eastern Iowa REC says, I need this many megawatts over here, and ITC says, okay, we'll transport all of that electricity over to here. So if you look at it just like somebody buying gas, they refine gas at a refinery, they shipped it, and then there's a gas station that's pumping gas into people's tanks. That's kind of how power companies work. So in the MISO market, there is excess generation currently right now that can be purchased. It's just not being purchased because there's not enough substations to take power from for guys like me to sit down next to it and be like, okay, I would like to make power here, but I'm not going to pay $5 million for a substation. And then with Bitcoin, it's $500,000 per megawatt to be able to develop that. Or the data center side of things and pay $5 million for that. And then for every megawatt of power, I'm spending about $13 million. So the MISO market plays with Alliant, plays with Eastern Iowa Light and Power, they play with Mid-American Energy, they play with everybody. So they're kind of the power brokers that sell power off after somebody else has made it or generated it, so to speak. So I don't know if there's any direct relationship between Eastern Iowa Light and Power and Alliant Energy or not, but I know they're a MISO participant, so they purchase it from an open market. I get an energy report every day about 2 o'clock, and it tells me at midnight, this is how much power costs all the way through 10 o'clock at night through the 24th hour of the day. It tells us how much power costs, and that power is coming from the MISO market, and it's saying, okay, tomorrow at 10 o'clock at night, you're going to be spending $250 a megawatt. And that's when my company says, we don't want to pay $250 a megawatt. We're shutting down. And so when we do that, it helps fortify the MISO market, it helps fortify Eastern Iowa Light and Power when you guys are cranking up your air conditioning at 10 o'clock at night. And that's what's happening. There's some type of cooling, there's some type of extra draw that's happening that I have to shut down somewhere around 8 p.m. and I might be able to turn on somewhere around 4 o'clock the next morning. So we're not taxing the grid, so therefore Eastern Iowa Light and Power isn't having to go and make it more robust because we're using that power, if that makes sense to anybody.
Well, and when you say have to, you're saying it's not a have to, it's a choose to.
No, there's a have to it as well. Eastern Iowa Light and Power, well, I take that back. We are contractually obligated to shut off when they tell us to shut off. We have a automated system that they send email to, and that automated system is automated by a program called N8N, or NATN.
What is it called?
N8N. That automatically will tell our machines, go to sleep. You're all going to sleep. So we can drop from 4.25 megawatts down to, it's basically just the fans running. It's a couple kilowatts that's running. So we can do that in 5 minutes. And so we do it. And there are other times, this past winter, when that ice storm came through here and it came down through the south and got into the MISO market down there into the south where power costs, they were over $2,000 a megawatt. So we don't want to run. So when people say it's all about the profits, you're right, it is all about the profits. We don't want to run at $2,000 a megawatt. It's not cost effective. It lose our butts. So yeah, we're contractually obligated to shut off with them.
distributed now. Sort of a different question. The sheriff pointed out in a previous work session that there's already a condensation problem near, on Highway 34, near the ethanol plant. It gets slick. And, so you talked about, evaporative. If you use water, it would be an evaporative process. How would that affect something like that?
When we were talking about water
Yeah.
usage, if we were going to use a lot of water, it would be an evaporative system. There's several different ways to cool. There's direct air cooled where there's no liquid involved whatsoever. The machines sit on a shelf, and there's a very high powered fan. There's 4 of them in a very close area. They pull an extreme vacuum. If you try to open the door on these buildings, you have to fight to get the door open. They're extremely, extremely loud. I've been in them.
They're extremely loud?
Oh, they're very loud. I've been in them and I've been near them, and we no longer deploy them. We have deployed them, but it's exactly that. We have to be so far away from people's homes that it's hard to find spots to be. So
that's basically that's basically a dead deal. So,
for those systems, we no longer use them. So I'm just trying to walk through what types of coolants there are.
What do you call those systems though?
It's just direct air cooled systems.
Direct air cooled?
Yep. Yep. And like I said, we don't deploy them anymore. They're also antiquated. We have to use giant filters in them. Those filters cost a ton of money. We don't want dirt in our machines, and that's right where it goes, is in our machines, because that's where the air is going through. So they're just, I want to call it clunky, to say the least. There's evaporative cooling, which typically uses about 4 or 5 gallons per minute per megawatt. I've been in those systems. I've operated those systems. I've turned them on. I've shut them off. They do create a lot of moisture. To your observation, they do create a lot of moisture. We have the water cooled systems that are next to our air cooled systems, and they suck water into these direct air cooled systems, and they cause problems. They cause problems with icing. There is closed loop systems, which is kind of what these dry coolers are that we're using out of this facility. It's just a closed loop antifreeze system that's going around and round and round. There's closed loop that is needing to be topped off with water, and sometimes those do drain into a sewer, which we have no interest in building. But you have to top them off with water periodically, about every quarter, because the water does get out of the system somehow through evaporation.
See, I lose stuff so quick, so stay where you're at. But what happens when you build this 25 and you get a customer that wants to use that?
If it's going to cause an environmental issue, tough luck, I'll find somebody else. Like I said, I have people trying to kick our door down to get to these places. So if there's a, no, we can't use water because we're having an icing problem on 61, okay, that's in, I mean, we'll adapt to how we need to adapt. For every person that, wants to use water because it's cheap, you have other people that look at it and they say, we want to be responsible stewards of the area we're in, of the town that we're in.
And just one more while it's still fresh in my brain, I lose stuff.
No,
my pencil's not as sharp as it used to be, you know what I mean? So that is the one that you've got set up in the 5 kilowatt or megawatt, that's the one that you said the maximum was 350 gallons a year?
Correct.
What's the maximum on, you got the maximums on the other ones that you listed that could possibly be?
I do. And that's something.
Dude, I don't want to bombard you, but I mean, it's the presentation, so I'm just trying to get information.
That's what I'm here for, and I can't seem to, I'm going from memory and I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, so I apologize to some of the people in the room here. So the current setup we have uses 0 gallons. A 5 megawatt set up the same way would use about 7 million gallons a year. Million. And if we push it to the 25 megawatt wet chiller, it'll use about $35 to $43 million a year, or million gallons a year, excuse me.
What was that? Now say that again.
35 to 43.
That's for the 25.
Correct. That's the thing that I need to kind of have the biggest discussion in this room about is I don't know that we'll go with water cooling. Like I said, that does happen to be the end user, and that happens to be up to you guys as far as language is in zoning. But what people don't understand is manufacturing uses water and electricity just the same as we do. We use a lot of water, but our neighbor, which would be Big River Resources, uses 1.14 million gallons of water a day. So that is 9 to 12 times larger than what we use in a day. Your golf club, the Burlington Golf Club, it uses per year, uses 27.5 million gallons per year. If you look at the Coke fertilizer plants over in Lee County, it uses 1.959 billion gallons of water per year. So I need people to put into perspective that yes, we're a manufacturing facility. Yes, we use water if we go with water chilling, but I haven't seen anybody stand on the street corner and protest golf courses. The median golf course uses 350,000 gallons of water a day. And they only do it up here about 6 months out of the year, but down south they do it all year long. In fact, they even use more water. And I haven't seen anybody protest that. So it's the Facebook propaganda, it's the...
Well, it's not just the water usage that people have an issue. I do want to let everybody know this is a presentation, so we're not going to do round robin, but I will let
Start with me.
Thomas.
I don't mind answering any questions that anybody has. If since this has been, a calm meeting, I don't have people pounding their fists on the table, I'll give you my phone number. I'll give you my emails. If you want more questions answered, feel free to call me. I don't care.
I would ask if you could email that presentation.
Yeah, I'll send it.
If you'd send that to the board, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming here, and I appreciated Mr. Berry when he appeared on the screen. You've been very open. I appreciate that. So there has to be, you've got a contact, and I'm not asking you who that is right now, but you would have a contact at, I'm assuming, Eastern Iowa REC, that you ask him questions, how many megawatts can we get? He said, we've got an excess of 5, I believe it's a conversation we had, and what it would take to get them to 25. And there was an agreement, as I recall Mr. Gregg saying that in some extraordinary circumstances, they could just completely shut you off. You would not be at the top of the priority list.
Yep.
And I assume water would be similar. And so there would be somebody you would be dealing with water, whether it's rural water, wherever you said you would be increasing the water lines.
Yeah, it's Rathburn.
Rathburn, okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to be working on an ordinance, and we're going to want to talk to get the view of that from their position. You know what I mean? From somebody from Eastern Iowa and somebody from Rathburn Water. Say, how does this work from your end of it?
And typically Eastern Iowa will come to these meetings with me.
Okay.
And they'll back up the fact that since I'm on power that can be shed, or it's called demand response or load control or whatever you want to call it, that is a benefit to the community as well, because I'm using power when nobody else is. And so when you get to certain spots during the day where it is costing $200 a megawatt for Eastern Iowa to sell power to everybody, but they're not recouping that, I'm not sitting there and running at a very high amount of power as well. I'm shut off. So I'm bringing down the cost for the entire community, because I'm not using that electricity at $200 a megawatt. I'm shut off. That's the other side of the water usage of things when it comes to if I end up having a load that I shed, and it's the hottest part of the year when that happens. If the load isn't running, then I have nothing to cool, so the water's shut off. So that's why when I'm running these systems that I'm only running for a couple hundred gallons a year, is because when I get too hot, I can't run because the power costs too much. So that's what keeps the water usage down quite a bit too, is I can't operate at certain times because power costs too much.
Angie Vaughn, you did raise your hand. She works for safety.
Well, I guess I got a couple questions to ask because the federal government now has proposals put in place. Well, not put in place yet, they are working on them, that is going to put a moratorium on all data centers until they can look at the safety and environmental issues. And they're also in the middle of policies, looking at policies that they will not be allowed on any military or federal grounds. So, I mean, you're kind of comparing apples and oranges when it comes to other manufacturing, and how's this gonna affect you guys? If they have these kind of concerns,
If anybody wants, like I said, if anybody wants to come out and look, I haven't been to the site, so I can walk you through and show you every chemical we use. And the worst thing we have is a food grade ethylene glycol, which doesn't contain PFAS.
but again, that's now.
Yeah.
They're expecting to grow and expand.
Correct.
Apparently there's enough issues the federal government's taking it seriously.
Where's this information coming from, I guess is my first question.
Go look it up on the US site. They are absolutely proposing these.
Okay. I'm not arguing with you or anything like that. I get so much of this thrown at me online just because of Facebook and social media and things like that. And I don't mean thrown at my face. I just get it in my feed a lot. So if I interact with any type of data center content and read this,
But you haven't seen any of these federal
I have
proposals.
heard it, but I haven't gone there because the other side of it is there was a executive order to be able to have data centers lease all available federal land, and now you're telling me there's an about face on that. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't have anything on federal land, and I don't use currently right now, and I don't foresee it being any different. In fact, I see it even getting more restrictive or different types of system operation that, we're not going to take a step backwards, is what I'm trying to say. We went from very loud air-cooled machines with filters, like I said, clunky, antiquated systems. You have to yank the door open. Sometimes you have to flip on the door to get it open, to now very nice facilities that you walk in, they're extremely clean. Like I said, I think we have some window cleaner over there. I think we have some scrubby things that you pull out of a can like Clorox wipes. And I think we have Simple Green over there, and then the coolant. So as far as chemicals are concerned, we're not injecting anything into the water. When the places that we do have that use water, we have a public water system on one of our machines, and the other one is using well water with two giant industrial water softeners next to them, and they use a ton of salt. We don't use chemicals, and I don't know if you heard me say earlier when we cleaned it. The last system we cleaned ran for almost about a year. We cleaned it with power washer, Simple Green, and a little CLR. So we're not injecting anything into it. There's a big blowdown or a catch basin that sits below it, where after the water evaporates, that lime and calcium does drop out and as particulate and goes down into that basin and gets held, and we literally scrape it up and we can throw it away because it's a natural. It naturally comes out of your drinking water. So, I mean, it's nothing that came from the ground and it's going back in the ground. Just in a garbage bag instead. So
I think Brian would ask you something while we go.
Okay, let me get staff. Chris, is there anything that anything that we're not seeing from your end, from the conservation side?
I mean, in this situation, this is a pretty small facility. When you talk data center, and I think maybe this may be what you're referring to,
Yep.
Some data centers are the size of small cities. So like Meta, the company that owns Facebook and Instagram and stuff, they have data centers that I know there's one, I can't remember where it was. I was just listening about this on a podcast the other day. It's 5 miles long by a mile wide, and it's just rows and rows and rows of buildings that have these servers in them. Now, that's probably a significantly different environmental situation than a small operation on up to 7 acres, I guess, if that's the sole wide footprint of that. So, I mean, in a situation like this, I'm failing to see any environmental or conservation issue. I'm curious about the electricity use. I was at an REC meeting, I think 2 years ago, and they were talking about the real possibility of rolling blackouts because generation wasn't going to be able to keep pace. Now, I don't know if generation has increased enough to negate that. I know obviously the Alliant plant down here is changing their generation model to natural gas to where they can turn on and scale generation to demand. So, you know, maybe as more of those come online, the generation issue isn't such a big deal. But they're not discharging water. That would be a concern. You know, and you shared some of those stats on the water usage. You're right, manufacturing does use a lot of water. There is so defining use is probably worth looking into. So, you know, like the Alliant plant down there would pull water out of as I understand, out of the Mississippi. They used it to cool, and then they had a hot water discharge, and the water went back into the Mississippi, versus water that's being pulled in and then being evaporated out. That's a different kind of use because the water is actually being removed from a local water source and it's being, you know, discharged into the air, and it's going to be relocated somewhere else, versus taking it in, running it through a system. And yeah, someone's going to evaporate, but and then discharging it back out. Those are two different kinds of uses. You know, and so I don't know in a situation like these big data centers whether, you know, you did say some of it's evaporative, some of it's just closed loop stuff. The closed loop is far less concerning than something that maybe is evaporative or does have a discharge to it. But I mean, there's really nothing that I'm hearing that's throwing up any major red flags to me. But again, I'm just like probably most people in this room, I'm kind of a novice to this. I'm learning as we go too.
So we're gonna get your air smell on Bradford water out there, right?
What's that?
You said Bradford?
Correct. Yeah.
Until the skunk grows dry, you're gonna have water.
Christopher Miller, you got anything you need to throw in from the health department?
I think that just answered my question, because I did hear him say something about well water, and apparently it's gonna be totally Bradford out there, so that won't be a concern for us.
Ryan, you did raise your hand, yeah.
First off, I apologize for speaking on charter earlier.
No.
You spoke of how much water you use per year.
Hmm?
On like a 100-degree day with 90% humidity, how much water would you use?
You're looking at 5 gallons a minute per megawatt.
That would be your max?
Yeah, that's the max flow is 5 gallons. We don't run water all year long. So it's 7 to 8 months out of the year is what we run water, 8 to just make it the worst case scenario. And when we are running water and it's 5 gallons a minute, it's a 90-degree day with 80% humidity. So we're cranking as much water as we can, but they run at about 5 gallons a minute. And that's what's lost to the environment. The water that is sprayed down is caught in that catch basin. That's recirculated after it's come down through our fans. It's already cooled again, so it's recirculated into the system. The rest is just evaporated up in the air, and it's a 5-gallon replenishment every minute for those systems. If you're talking it's an 80-degree day and the relative humidity is 30%, then we're running, you know, maybe 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons a minute. So it fluctuates with the system.
Then how does the evaporative system work in the wintertime?
It doesn't.
You don't use the
Turn
water
it
at
on.
all?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we shut the water off.
And then, so if I'm doing my math right, with the 25 megawatt and the 5 that you currently have out there, you'd be using 262 million kilowatt hours per year.
219
plus 43
kilowatt hours per year is what we're
219 for the 25 megawatt.
Correct.
And then 43 million for the 5 that's already out there.
Yes, correct, for kilowatt hours.
Yes,
Yes.
so that'd be 262.
Yep.
You know, just assuming normal usage and like 18,000 residents or homes in the Moines County, that would be around 180 million kilowatt hours. So you're going to be using right around 100 million kilowatt hours more than the residents of Des Moines County.
Correct. If your numbers are true.
Yeah, and so is your intention to put any more, like 25 megawatt data centers?
At this time, no, because I don't know if any other spot that there is one for Eastern Iowa. Eastern Iowa gives me a spreadsheet and says, here's all of our substations, here's how many megawatts are on each substation, and here's where it's located. And then
what I do is I have an assistant that goes through general information services and pulls landowners that are within X amount of feet or radius of that. I literally go knock on their door, say, hey, this is me, I wanna buy some land from you, I wanna lease some land from you, and plop down there. Anything that Eastern Iowa has given us in this county that's it. That's all that I'm aware of, unless something changes and they expand a substation that's in this area that I don't know anything about. So I don't have any intentions, my company doesn't have any intentions, because it's the only one in this county that I'm aware of.
And when you said that if your power exceeds a limit, you shut down or shut off.
No, if the grid experiences a peak, then we shut off. So if we're getting above 90% load on the entire grid, which means all of Eastern Iowa Light Power serving your county and I think 4 or 5 other counties, if we're pushing into that 90% peak, that's when we will shut off. Typically what happens is they have the energy market down so well that at 2 o'clock, and I don't even know what time it is right now, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they send me a power report. And I'll just, anybody else that wants to know what it looks like, I'll show it to you.
No, you don't have to look it up.
They show me energy pricing and basically says, okay, this is what power costs in hour 1 is $22.58 a megawatt. Then you get into later in the afternoon and you're an hour, so it's 8 o'clock at night, it's $114 a megawatt. So that is for, well, typically I get those reports at 2 and that's for the next day. And so we know, and Eastern Iowa also knows that, okay, you need to curtail between this time and this time. And what I mean by that is shut off.
Right. So
we shut our systems off, let the community use the power, so it's not stressing the grid, it's not having them to cost to build out anything. And then when Eastern Iowa Light Power says, okay, it's all clear, we turn back on again.
Do you have any generators or anything so that you?
At this time, I don't have anything.
Okay.
No,
Is there any
nothing
plans,
generating power.
plans for that?
I believe this site we are planning on doing that.
So when you shut off, you're really just shutting off from the grid, and then you would turn on or power it with generators.
Depending on who's going into the spot. So when I evaluate sites, I have evaluated them with how much electricity is available and how far away they are from a house. Then we get into water systems. Okay, how much water is available? What's the DNR permit? They can run 5 gallons a minute on DNR up to 50 gallons a minute on DNR without getting a special permit. They'll just go, here you go, drill your well. And now I'm moving into, okay, how much power is available? How much water is available? How much natural gas is available? And how much fiber? What's the speed of fiber? So that's been kind of the progression of my job is power, water, gas, fiber. And so we evaluate each site, and each site is different. So if I can have power, I can have water, I can have gas, but I don't have any fiber, the site's not worth much to me. So it goes and turns into a Bitcoin mining machine instead of a data center. So that's why everything that we have is just kind of in a flux. I don't know what my gas production is or my gas is out there as of yet. Alliant Energy supplies it. They believe that they can drag it over to me if I need it. And I have not evaluated fiber for it yet. So if it's not and this is a number that I've actually had people in the fiber industry laugh at me and say, well, what are you talking about? If it's not 400 gigabyte service, not megabyte, but gigabyte service, I can't use it for a data center. So this whole planning thing is to keep us where we're at for Bitcoin mining and possibly either develop more Bitcoin mining and that'll be a long shot, it'll be a long ways off before that happens. Or if I can evaluate it fully for fiber, then this whole conversation is exactly where it needs to be is, yes, this is the direction we're going. It is going to be fiber, it is going to be gas, it is going to be water, it is going to be electricity. So
I'd like to say again, he was so kind to say that he'd give out his phone number and email. So, Brian, I know you've got a million questions. I'm going
to go out and tour the facility because I'm very interested.
Okay.
Trent, just to wrap up, I don't have a question, but one, I want to thank you for coming out and being here today. And two, realize when we're looking at legislation, we're not looking specifically at your project, but it is helpful for you to come out because you are here. You do have a project already established, and you're looking to expand it. So it does. You have expertise that help the guys get the information that they need to make the decision. So thanks for coming out and providing us information. But realize any legislation is not specific to you
Sure.
guys.
Yeah.
We're looking, countywide, big picture, long term. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna reiterate, I will help you with shaping the language, but I don't wanna create it for you. There's certain things.
I just have a quick question. So are you,
So depending on what that computer is doing, it might use 10 kilowatts or it might use 3. So I don't know the density of the building because I don't know the density of the load that's gonna be in there. So it may just be 25 more containers, which I doubt that. It will most likely be a building that's housing some of this equipment. That's the way the drawings are set out now, but there's 2 sets of drawings. One has containers and one has buildings. So, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna.
Let me ask one more. I was going to disagree. If you're talking about just construction costs being $300 million, $300 million used to be $300 million, but it's still by a hell of a building.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it that tall? Or the foundations that deep? What makes a building that's going to fit on that site that expensive?
I can't answer that question because I've never gotten that far into it. I know that
Step inside.
it's not necessarily it's not even the computers at that point. It's just everything that goes into it as far as infrastructure is concerned. If they're going to be modular systems, there's not going to be any footings. If there are going to be buildings, then there are going to be footings and they're going to be massive because those machines, each rack is about 6.5 feet tall and they weigh about 5,000 pounds apiece. So the systems are very heavy in those racks and they roll them around and put them in places. So the concrete's got to be thicker. The whole entire building's got to be more robust when it comes to that type of stuff. As far as all the intricacies that go into it, that costs $300 million, can't tell you. I mean, we already have the land. We just don't have the buildings or the modular systems or the concrete. And as much as we possibly can, we will hire as much local as we possibly can get away with doing. When you get into a 25 megawatt site, that is manageable to be able to pull from a community of this size. When you get into the Googles that are building 600 megawatts in Cedar Rapids, it's not manageable even with 100 and something thousand people there. There's not enough people to do that type of concrete or that construction for 3 years at a time. So when we come into here, all CapEx is going to be spent as much as we possibly can on the local community and local laborers. We'll bring in 2 guys that are foremen to run this job site. Other than that, everybody will be local if we can find them.
Thank you.
I've got one more, and then I'll let the girls ask a few questions, just because they're writers for the paper.
I'm 100% fine.
Okay, yeah, if anybody's got to leave, we won't be offended. I know it's been a little long. That was Allison, what's your last name?
Moore.
Allison Moore. I forgot to get your name, and Brian T. that asked questions from the public. You said that was the only place you're going to be, but at one point in time, I thought I remembered hearing that you guys were looking at Meepo as a site, Mediapolis as a site. Is that not true?
Is that in this county?
I'm sorry?
Is that in this county?
Yes.
Okay. I do not know anything about it. That was previous to my developing anything in this area. So do you know more about it than that?
I mean, Jared?
I think you're probably referring to Sperry when they're initially inquired a couple of years ago. They were looking at, there are 2 separate substations for eastern Iowa, one adjacent to the Big River facility, West Burlington, and then one south of Sperry. And so I believe that was, I don't know, my understanding is where they were deciding between one of those 2 sites and ended up going with this one, as far as I know.
And I think I kind of know what you're talking. Now that he says Sperry, substations are sometimes interconnected with one another, and I have 2 different sites that are currently 3 different sites that are currently like this. If I set up 10 megawatt at this substation, and this substation down here has 8. This one now no longer has 8. This one only has 10. It erases the capacity for the other one. And so they're also able to, if I can't find a landowner that is willing to lease me land, or if it just doesn't work out because we're too close to a neighbor, we can have all that power pushed to a different substation. So I'm not 100% sure if the Sperry thing is there or not. So don't quote me on that. But if there is, I think it's another 5 megawatt site that's very.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give Elsie and Trace a chance to, if you have any questions to close out.
I'm just gonna go out, so. You're going here out there
Yeah.
after this, I'm just gonna.
Okay.
I have one quick question. You said that REC has extra power, so it's not gonna affect residents at all, is that correct?
Correct.
But they purchase it from an open market. How do they know they're gonna have extra power?
So there's a substation, and the substation is not finite. Okay, so I can't take a substation that's 10 megawatt and make it 15 megawatt. So they have a substation out there right now that I think is 20 megawatt, and they have 5 megawatts of power that's not being used at that particular substation. That it's never used. It's just sitting there idle. So that's what I mean by there's available power, just nobody's hooked onto it, nobody's using it. Big River Resources could very easily expand and then use another 5 megawatts of power, and then that's as much you can get out of that substation. This one particularly has, I believe, another open bay. What that means is another location where you could plug in another substation and feed off of that. But all the transmission lines coming to that need upgraded. So we need to go, I don't know how many miles away, and hook into a larger line and bring that over to this substation and then step down the voltage for us to be able
So
to
there's
use it.
gonna be more power lines run through the county,
Or larger. Most likely just larger.
larger ones.
Yeah. Yeah,
In the same
we're gonna
place,
use
or-
the same infrastructure, but just it'll be a larger line instead of a 69 kV line, it'll be a 138 kV line. So
Thank you.
I couldn't drive along and go, oh, that's a 69 kV and that's a 138, and I'm in the business, so it's just, they're negligible for difference in sizes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You satisfied, Elsie?
Never.
Okay. Yes. Yes, can you state
It all
your name?
comes down to this, doesn't it?
Can you give us your name, please?
Bob Hanson. Hey, Bitcoins are a finite future. They're gonna go away here in about, what, 7, 8 years?
No. You're probably looking at another 100.
I thought there was a limit on the number of Bitcoins that could be manufactured.
There is, but it's, I can't remember, I think it's, last I checked, it was 140 years or something to that effect before Bitcoin is done and you can no longer mine it.
Okay. What do you foresee out here on Highway 34, 5, 7 years down the road? Are you gonna be a Bitcoin manufacturer? Or are you going to be a AI data center? Or what are you going to be?
Tell me what Bitcoin's going to do in the next couple of years. If it goes back to $125,000 a coin, I'll probably still have a Bitcoin operation out there.
If it doesn't,
I probably will have an entire data center out there. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin.
is the facility out here pretty readily marketable? Do you have problems selling?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. I don't think I have an open, well, I take that back. We have some systems that are aging out, and so we've taken them out, and those companies have decided not to come back in, but it's within 2 or 3 days that we get another company that comes in and says, okay, I'll take all of the racks. So
Wait, there are a couple of counties in Iowa where you have been denied construction permits.
Mhm.
Woodbury County.
Yep.
What happened up there?
Woodbury they already had a Bitcoin mining operation there,
Yes.
very large, close to community, closer to homes, and loud.
Yeah.
And we were coming along and looking at installing equipment, but looking at installing water equipment that's a air system you can hear from 500 feet away. A water-cooled system, you have to be very good at hearing to hear it from 200 feet away. And the sound is so minimal, you just can't really hear it.
So it was sound that was the
Sound, and then it came into the community just had a bad taste in their mouth, was what boils down to it. I go into these meetings and they're calm like this, and I go into these meetings and I have people who are standing up and yelling at me and, you're not putting that thing anywhere near me. I mean, just people are like, where do you live? 5 miles away?
You ain't putting that thing. Oh, sorry.
That's what's happening.
Something came over me.
So nationwide, the objection to Bitcoin centers, AI data centers, is not really on the resources. It's on people just don't like AI. How are you going to deal with that?
Well, it's not necessarily that these are AI centers. They can be. People, Ed, think you asked me why do we need these things? Why do we need so many of them? And I kind of gave her an answer that people were kind of sucked into using computers back when COVID worked. or COVID was around. To buy a car, you're going to have to sign paperwork online. You're not going to go into a dealership. They're going to deliver your car with masks on. To sign bank paperwork, you're going to use a computer to do it. To do anything, you're going to have to start using emails. So people who didn't use it before are kind of now knowing how to use it. So they're, I want to Zoom my grandkids. I want to see, my children. And then if you look at, and feel free to use AI or Grok or Gemini or whatever you guys want to use, the apps on your phone. If you have 30 apps, most likely every single one of those apps lives on a different data center somewhere. And when you look at and search it or Google it, there's 5,400 apps made a day. And they all got to live somewhere. So I may be, having a center over here in your town that has, a video game on it. And there's 3 million people that play it. And that's all it's doing is doing Diamond Rush or whatever you want to call it. So those apps take a lot of power. And they take up a lot of energy. They take up a lot of space to be able to operate that. I play one on my phone when I'm bored, and probably when you guys are touring the facility and don't talk to me, I'll probably play one of those games, and it lives on a data center. I laugh at the amount of people who, for one, about every week, I make a small comment on people's comments on Facebook, and I get 20 people that tell me I have my head at my backside, I don't want to talk about. And then I have to point out the irony that you're on Meta, you're on Facebook, and you're using a data center to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about data centers because you hate them, but here you are. So
I think you should just go away from data centers and just stick it all up in the clouds, man. That's what they're doing.
That's what it is. I mean,
I'll just play it, man.
Well, that's cloud services are. If you have too many photos on your phone, they go to a data center.
Trace, real quick, and then Kevin, we're gonna bring this to a close. But
yeah, sorry, Tracy Lynn with the Hawkeye newspaper. I think though that's probably a big part of the problem is I think most of the public doesn't realize just what AI they're accessing already anyway.
Yeah.
My chart at the hospital, things that we've not only are we accustomed to them, but it's services that we want.
Yeah.
And so who bridges that gap for the understanding of I do actually have a question. How many people will you ultimately be able to actually employ on site once everything's done the way you want it done?
So it will depend on local talent for one. I mean, just like any business, you have some really good people you can hire, and you've got some of those that just never will catch on.
Right.
And they will run 3 shifts or 2 shifts. We haven't figured that out yet. If it's going to be a true, we need it running 24/7, there'll be either 3 shifts of 8 or 2 shifts of 12. And so we're looking 18 people at probably tops. And that's not really necessarily including that we need an electrician almost every week. Somebody's got to pick up our garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's got to deliver our equipment and things like that.
So these would be fairly technical jobs, or more of just an operations, being able to come in and flip levers and
and it doesn't quite work that way, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Most of these will be high-tech jobs, and most of them will be high-paying jobs.
Okay.
So you're looking at a senior operator making $187,000 a year as a median wage within the United States. So that's the other thing. No offense to your community at all. I'm not saying that. It's just a smaller community, and sometimes trying to pluck somebody that if we don't have anybody local to hire, plucking somebody from Chicago to come and move here is usually less attractive, so we have to pay them more. And then, like I said, nothing against your community at all. The bridge is beautiful, but sometimes we have to pay a premium to get the people here that are talented enough to run it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we're
how
also
much did you say that was that they pay?
$187,000.
Hey, can I get an application?
I think he's thinking you might be one of the ones that's never going to catch up.
I was in Chicago last year, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that would count for something. KG, take us out.
Kind of a 2-part question. If I understand right, if the concern was on the evaporative system, that really wouldn't change your plans moving forward.
It would. If that's an issue and it's a known issue, and I don't know exactly what you're speaking of, and maybe we can have a separate conversation about, but if you are already having a problem with condensation from the ethanol plant, we're not gonna make it any better because our stacks are not 250 feet in the air. We're 10 feet, 20 feet off the ground at most. So we're gonna add to that problem. So if it's a known issue, then this is a location that can't happen at.
And then I'm just wondering about your estimation on tax liability, economic impact is what I'm, how that impacts the county and school districts, and if you have a rough estimate on that, because I'm quite surprised by the infrastructure and construction estimate for the.
So we're gonna be assessed for that, right? Sure. For property improvements, we're gonna be assessed for all of that. So that's the property value. So I don't know how the taxes work in this particular community.
Yeah, it's recorded, right?
So, so there's an increase in property taxes there. There's obviously jobs that are being brought in. They're all high paying jobs. Nobody's gonna come in and work for $20 an hour at these sites. Because we don't pay that for one, but for two, nobody with the technical knowledge to run some of these sites, especially when you get into AI, they're not $20, $30 an hour jobs. They're salaried, high-paying jobs. The other side of that is we always purchase either an apartment or a home within the community. Sometimes our guys are needed for longer than a 12-hour period of time. In fact, the West Burlington site now is a ghost town because everybody's in one location working at another location. We had some servers come in and they just keep coming and the guys are tired. So instead of them driving to another location, they'll stay at the apartment, they'll stay at the house, and then get up the next morning and go back to work. And then when they're done, they'll relocate themselves back to their original location, which is West Burlington for these techs. We just have a freight train of machines coming in at this one location. It's just nuts. And then we're tearing others out and replacing them as well. It's a long story, but a lot of work involved.
Hey, this has been great. You guys have handled it like big people, and that just shows the resilience and just how we roll in Des Moines County. I would say this: if you still have any other questions, nab him before he gets out of here, man. I'm saying, make sure you get his information, and we'll get some more. We'll get down to the bottom of it. But thanks everybody that did participate.